That's right, everybody. It's the moment you've been waiting for. The initial episode of the Spike and Cat Show coming at you live. Tonight we've got a topic we're going to be talking about. Be cracking a couple jokes, having a good time. Really happy you're with us. So stay tuned.
Really digging this music, Spike.
What's that?
I'm really digging this music, man.
I'm playing it while I'm talking too. I hope you know that.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. I'm just trying to add in like at least a half a cent.
I've got some actual footage of us producing the show here too, Cat.
Whoa.
So,
dude, I'm looking good.
Yeah, we're looking. Yep, and that's the technology we're dealing with. So that's the level of exceptional craftsmanship you can expect here at the Spike and Cat Show. So, without further ado, here we go. Check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4.
We've been friends
most of our lives. I had a couple of kids.
I've had a couple of wives. We'll talk about the shit
we think we
know. Back and smile. It's a Spike and Cat Show.
That's a great theme song, dude. Top 10 theme songs of all time.
That is as professional as it gets, dude. Right there. Right out the gate.
That's high dollar. That's what you get. That's the production quality you can expect. Well, Kat, hey, super glad to be doing this with you. Welcome, everybody, to the Spike and Cat Show. It's me, your old buddy, Spike Hope, and Kat Wellbon, world famous of the legendary feline Wellbon family. So, how you doing, Kat?
Hey, good, Spike? Man, it's great. Finally, man. Well, not finally. I think it's just good that, seeing everything come together. It's been a long time coming, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point in time in some episode, either now or far, far away. But yeah, man, good to be here. Let's fire it off.
Hell yeah, bro. I'm so happy. It's funny because actually one of the things I do want to show fairly soon is I want to show some of the clips from like Happier Head. Kat and I have been... for people that aren't familiar, and I'm not sure why you would be unless you've been creeping us for the last 30 years, but as the theme song says, Kat and I have been friends since 5th grade-ish, and great friends at that, and we've been through the highs and lows, literally. So, literally and figuratively, we've had a blast, and so we just want to share whatever the hell we got going on. And every week we're going to be talking about different topics and talking about music, letters from listeners, so on and so forth. So for instance, this week, topic of the week is actually love, right? Okay, so for those that are curious, I guess for me, the reason I wanted to talk about it as our first thing is, well, first, Kat, I love you, bro. You're the fucking best, for real. And so happy to know you. I have a little piece on our website, the Spike and Cat, or what is our website? spikeandcat.com, talking about our friendship. But I would only hope that people would be so fortunate as to have a friend like Kat, full of love. And it's just interesting because I don't know everyone out there, Kat, obviously, but kind of like we were talking about before, I know that one thing about them, everybody needs love, and short of having love, what the hell is it all going to... What happens? It's so fascinating what happens when people don't have it. So I thought, although we're cracking jokes about it and all that, I thought that's a great place to start. So what's your take on love?
Yeah, for sure, man. Sure, yeah. I guess this has to work where I have to say stuff too.
Nope, you just sit and look beautiful, bro.
I just nod and have my it's scratch frequently.
Scratch.
No, but to go back to it, I actually thought that this topic was super interesting when you first presented it to me. As like thinking about or like talking about the power of love. I, of course, thought you were speaking of Huey Lewis and the News. So I was super stoked.
The power of love.
Oh, one of the greats. But no. Really, you're right. You're right. You hit the nail on the head right there by talking about the fact that we do all need love. I think that that's a big part, of looking at society and some of the things that may be happening around us. And those things happen because of love, and they happen, maybe because of a lack of love or because of somebody has a different definition of what those things may be in their lives or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely a broad one, but I think that, like you said, just with the way that we are and the friendship that we've had, um, yeah, I mean, we've
Well, I mean, think about it. Think of the amount of things that we've been through individually and collectively, and everybody has a story to tell, but it always references back to someone that they care about, somebody they spent their time with and stuff. What does everybody need? What's every romantic movie about and stuff? But yet, the crazy thing is without it, like I was saying before, I mean, you can express love to a plant and it grows better. What the I mean, how does that work? You know what I mean?
yeah,
But by the
yeah,
same token, what I think is so fascinating is that in my life, trials and tribulations, want and woe, you know, it's always been the people that loved me that I've been fortunate to love that have made that's what it's all about. Literally, that's what it's all about. But it's not an emotion necessarily. You know what I mean? You can be happy, you can be sad, or whatever. But every and I think the other reason that I thought it'd be an interesting topic for the first show is everything that you and I do artistically. At the end of the day, every single thing has to do with those basic themes, but specifically, it seems like about love. What's a song that you like that references love, would you say?
oof. I actually, you know what? That's interesting you bring that up because I was thinking about that today. And there were a ton of songs that came into my brain, and now, of course, I
Okay, I'll
can't.
give you an artist. Bob Marley. Bob Marley.
Well, of course, that came into my mind. Of course, that actually is the first thing I thought of. I'm like, well, he has about a handful of songs that have love in the title. Yeah, I mean, is this love? Yeah, so many of his songs have to do with that idea, and I think that that's interesting too because I think that you can look at love in so many through a lot of different lenses, and I mean, you can think of these words as being somewhat synonymous, but I also think that they have particular meaning. Like you look at love like through the idea of like passion and love, or you look at love through the lens of like having affection towards someone or something, or whatever it might be, and that can show a certain level of love or whatever. Um, but yeah, definitely Bob Marley. I mean, that man had a lot of love to sing about and a lot of love to share.
So when I
Um,
say that, that's interesting. So when I say the word love, what do you conjure up first? Do you conjure up romance, sex, family? Hopefully not a combination therein, but what? Hey, look, different parts of the world. You don't know cultures, cat. It's modern times. I don't know. So, what do you think of? What do you think of?
I think of family. I think of that love that's like endearing and
Okay.
internal, and like that idea of like the stuff that can make your heart hurt worse than it's ever fucking hurt before, or the stuff that can, make you feel things so powerful and so real and so true. So I think of that. I think of that definite. That's my immediate um thought of the word, and oddly enough, you bringing a music, it does kind of go a lot in that direction as well. Is I start thinking a lot about yeah, songs and music, and the way that it's in that as well. So yeah, what about you, dude? What's your kind of first somebody says or talks about love, where do you go, or where does your mind stray?
You know what? I think that um, the first thing I think of is it's literally the meaning of life to me. You know what I mean? Like it literally seems to be the whole reason we go through all of it. I think it's so fascinating. For instance, with the Beatles, they get to the top of the mountain. They could sing songs about anything they want to, and literally one of their biggest hits is "All You Need Is Love." You know what I mean? And you talk to successful people, and they can have billions of dollars. Look at Citizen Kane. The point of the greatest movie allegedly out there is this guy has everything in the world, but he's still that it's love that he's looking for. That old familiar family love or feeling closeness and stuff. And so,
Spoiler alert, wagon.
what? Yeah, yeah, no, 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 not it wasn't it the sled. It was the sled.
Oh yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Ah,
yeah. No, that's all
no.
right. Well, it was a delayed spoil for them. You know what? If you haven't seen Citizen Kane at this point, then newsflash, uh, good guy wins. So it's funny because. Um, and then from that, I guess the big thing to me is that goes to probably family, or a lot of times I think people talk about like God is love, right? And I'm not selling Kool-Aid or any particular religion, FYI, everybody. But that being said, like the big God, whatever God is, I always think of as like the network of people that have been fortunate enough to love and care about, right? So that's all of God's creation, so to speak. But specifically, I'm thinking of in human form and stuff, and so that to be able to have all of these people that I care about, and it's interesting because like even with now having a family, being a dad, all that stuff, it's like the theme song says that I've had a couple of kids and I've got a wife and all that stuff, and so that type of love is something that, with my personal background, I honestly never expected to be a dad. So that whole thing engaged something with me where it's like, you heard that expression, like you'll never know till you're a parent. There's kind of something to that, for real. You know what I mean? And so like the pride you have in somebody or the love that you have in somebody. But I think in general, it's probably more of just a gratitude for love or whatever, and then there's also an empathy for people that don't have it. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. Like the empathy for people that don't have it, you mean
Yeah.
specifically?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, just because
yeah.
we live in such a dynamic time, and one of the things that we'll do, people will probably notice that we're not gonna always talk about like the latest topic in the news of what's happened this week or whatever, but just to put a timestamp on it for posterity, what is it? It's winter, late fall, early winter of 2018 or whatever, right?
Yep.
So at this current time in space, we live in a world that kind of celebrates. There's a lot of greed. There's a lot of war. There's a lot of hostility, a lot of againstness and stuff, right? But what's so fascinating to me is that all of us,
A lot of divisiveness.
yeah, right, right. But all of us, at the end of the day, even the other, the enemy, everybody, whatever, if there is such a thing, they're going home to their family at night. They love their family. They love their community. You know what I mean? And so it's literally a whole world full of people that have these little relationships that they're trying to protect, that they're trying to. And so I think that love manifests its way in a whole bunch of interesting ways too, because people want to be protective of, or, wars have been started over the honor of someone that they love. You know what I mean? And old grudges and stuff like that. So it's such an interesting. I don't know. Love's not an emotion, so is it an energy? What is love? I don't even. You know what I mean? Like that's the fascinating part of it. But if you don't have it, and if you have it, you know what I mean. And so I think that's why it's a fun topic to talk about initially.
I think too, just to spin off of that as well, and I think that when you were talking about empathy and being empathetic, and I just think that all ties into whether you even think about it in the moment. I mean, I think that being empathetic towards that is even if you're, for lack, but just to say it, even if you're thinking of it as love or love being involved in that, I think having true empathy towards somebody is knowing you have to know and understand love in order to really truly do that. I guess where I'm trying to go with this is where I'm at and physically is there's a huge homeless problem, and I know that that's not something that is that's all over the globe. I see every day like so many people, and I can't read what people are thinking as they're walking by or whatever it might be, but it's this idea of those. I guarantee you, those people that are living on the street, the one thing that they could use more of, like all of us could in our lives, is love, and that's in any way. That's in acknowledging that they're there, acknowledging that they're, a person, they're part of society, they're in a community, they're in a situation where I can guarantee you none of us would want to be in, and you can put yourself in whatever shoes you want to, but to actually take a step, not even a step back, but to stand in that reality and look at it in the face and have some empathy and just have that ability to even just be a person. Trust me, the smallest amount of love of that you could show would make a vast difference. So in that way, I think you're right. I mean, well, I don't even know if it's about think you're right. I think that brings about that discussion of, is it an energy? Is it something that is moving? Is it something that somebody can stop?
Well, and that people choose to use it
Yeah.
exclusively, where it's like we want, and that's what I think is so interesting, is that again, it's not about. I have my own religious beliefs and philosophical beliefs, as do you. Everybody does. God bless everybody, or whatever, universe or tree or whatever you believe. I have respect for it all, as long as it's peaceful. So that being said, since this is the first show, I don't want to have to say that all the time, but I've always really appreciated just great wisdom. You know what I mean? Expressions, whatever. And that golden rule, what's so interesting about the golden rule is treat others the way you want to be treated, or love your neighbor as you love yourself, or whatever. There literally are examples of that through religions all the way around the world. And that's what I'm saying, Kat, is that one, we all need love. I don't know any of these people out there, but I can tell you they need a roof over their head, a sandwich in their stomach, but we all need that one other common thing: love, community, whatever. And that's where I think that as we go through some of this stuff, we're getting to a point right now where I just saw a really moving piece. The local news was talking about these. I don't. They were war vets. I want to say probably Vietnam war vets, but they were talking about that their whole life they had to like hold in their anger and their depression and their sadness about the terrors of war and stuff. These guys went and served their country and so on and so forth, but they end up having this sadness that they carry with them and stuff. And so it's sort of like when people have experienced that kind of stuff, they're going to exhibit anger. You know, like I've said, it's the lion with a thorn in their paw. You know what I mean? And so sometimes we have to exhibit love or compassion for other people that we completely disagree with, or whatever. You know what I mean? Or it's like you're talking about the homeless situation and stuff. It's like it's a confusing topic, but you've mentioned a few times you actually stop and go out of your way. You have friendships with some gentlemen that are homeless in your community, right? I mean, what do they say? Like, what is the thing we're supposed to do, or what could we do to exhibit love in that situation? Do they want us to stop and help? What's your opinion on it?
That's interesting. It's funny because I guess that I'm just who I am. So I don't we don't really go into it would be something that'd be worth having a conversation about, to be honest, specifically. But I think for me, it's just more, it's not even the fact that hey, not everybody has to say hello. Not everybody has to be like Captain Comfortable. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I think it's just more the acknowledgement, and it's the idea that we're all in this, whether we want to be or not. We're all in this, and there's a lot of different ways we can go about it and be in this. We can be in it together, and I think that part about being in it together is that part of these are people. I think it's more of just that idea of a level of respect.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that respect can show love.
But
you know, in a way of just acting like they're not invisible, right?
Yeah,
I think that and there's a difference, right? Even the way I think you walk past somebody, you can show a vast difference between if they're there, or if
you're having a good day. Hope you know.
My hand. Sorry, I'm gonna go first show gig right here. I just made a motion with my hand, and it went behind your head, and I was like, I'm starting to start getting the gesticulations
I'm
down.
limited in my reach. Check this out. What? See, but you can come over here. I can't see. Yeah, that's modern technology. Yeah, you know what though, dude? It's interesting because being able to treat people with just common respect and that type of stuff. But I heard somebody say something really interesting recently, where they were saying that they were explaining humans as being experiential. You know, that we have to experience something before we have a frame of reference oftentimes. So we don't know, if you've ever been homeless, if you've ever been without love or compassion or that type of thing, then you know what it feels like, right? But that's where I was also saying that some of the most craggly old bastards you're going to meet are hurting people. You know what I mean? They're lonely, they're scared, they're
Oh, yeah.
whatever. And so by having compassion for that, and that's where I'm saying that even, whoops, yeah, you know what, I definitely care about my brother, man, and I know that's not everyone's disposition. I get that, peace and love and all that bullshit. But to a certain point, I feel like as a society, if we're cynical to peace and love, we're kind of fucked. You know what I mean? For real. Like, and by the way, how am I supposed to give a shit about what you think and feel if you don't give a shit about what I think and feel? And so I think that reasonable people understand that, and even people that are hurting. I think nowadays there's kind of been like a paradigm shift in terms of like mental health stuff. There's been a paradigm shift in terms of this old. I used to hate that adage of men don't cry and all that bullshit. I ain't saying you cry 24/7, but it's like, you know what, dude? Crying's kind of like taking an emotional shit once in a while, where it's like you gotta let her rip, tater chip. Otherwise, it's gonna build up and it'll eat away at you. You know what I mean? And so it's just interesting because I think we're at a point now where I've seen a lot of I know a lot of men that are kind of hyper masculine or whatever that have even shown that they're willing to, hey man, hurt's hurt, and you know what I'm saying. And so I think all of us kind of being able to extend that compassion or that give a shit for each other, and at the same time kind of understanding that people that aren't there yet, it's probably because they're afraid. It's probably because they're kind of they're worried they're going to be made fun of. Or the other thing is that, never discount the power of mental illness. You know what I mean? So some people are just jacked up. You know what I mean? Some people don't care at all about other people, but I would argue the vast majority of us do. And that's the thing that, with your point on the homeless stuff, that's where I think what we're getting to right now in society is we've never really laid out, that's kind of like that Art of Life show that I'm working on too. We've never really laid out kind of like, a specific, here's a roadmap on how to get through life. Did you get a text from the?
Nice. I'm glad you heard that. That's perfect. I removed the phone from the.
That's okay, man. That's what I'm saying. It's the high dollar production value. So
I could just read the
text. I've got a portal right here.
Whoa, what, dude? Your hand just disappeared.
Well, this actually allows for me. You know how people will talk about like wormholes and all that stuff. This actual computer came with a wormhole built in. It's an app, you can download it and stuff. I'm not gonna go into the future or the past, but like what's happening right now is right here in my hometown. Like 300 years from now, there's just a hand hovering there and stuff. But so hold on. Let me peek in here. I'm gonna tell you what
you do it so many times though, right?
Yeah, a few times, but like, so check this out. I'm gonna take a look in the future, Kat, and tell you how everything looks. Okay, just a second. Okay. Right. Oh yeah, it's good. Everything's good. Okay. Yep, it's good. Everything's fine, Kat.
You're good?
The future's good. See? And that's why we're so worried about shit, but it's fine. Everything worked out. I can't tell you how.
Right? It's not the future so bright you gotta wear shades. You could have used shades.
Now that you mention it, I did notice everyone was wearing shades. So my retinas are scalding and I'm blind. Well, You know what? Artists don't need their eyes anyways, Kat. So I was gonna say, Kat, part of the thing that we're doing with the whole program is solving all the world's problems. I think we basically have most of them. We're gonna try and.
Just to loop back real quick onto the piece love and bit.
Yeah.
I found it found it really amazing that you could quote that Elvis Costello song, "Peace, Love, and all the other bullshit." Or I'm sorry, that wasn't the name, was it? But I think you mentioned something that I just wanted to bring back around to the conversation because I think it's really important, and is that piece that you said about understanding, and it is with love, and if you want to really, I think that the truth, no matter what you believe, who you believe, where you are when you believe it, without that understanding piece, I don't know. And I agree that yes, if we could have all experienced everything, that would be great. But even if you haven't been able to experience those things, just having like a little bit of of understanding around it. And I mean, that can go far in so many things in life. But I think particularly with love and then getting into the tune of empathy,
Yeah,
I just
and just having to give a shit. You know, that is your give a shit broken? Because it shouldn't be. You should pay attention to how it goes for other people. Because you know, it's interesting. We were a few weeks ago. You and I were talking about that. And forgive me, all the science people out there, but somebody can look it up, or I can try and put a link to it or something. But there is a super interesting study out there about basically they took photons, right? All the matter of the universe is made up of photons. So they took these photons, a photon, split it in half, sent one down a fiber optic 7 miles that way, another one down a fiber optic 7 miles that way, and they excited them to see, you know, if we rotate this one on this end, what happens to the other one? 7 miles, so 14 miles physically away from each other, and they wanted to observe what happened. And basically, the nuts and bolts is whatever happened to this photon on this end at the exact same time with no measurable difference, the same thing happened, whoops, to the photon on the other end, right? And so the whole idea is basically saying that, look, at the beginning of the universe, they're saying that the whole universe was combined together into something about the size of the pea. And I think the gentleman's name is Greg Braden. He does these different types of videos. It's really interesting. The concept's interesting. I'm not a scientist, but he keeps saying it's peer reviewed and all of this stuff. But the point is, yeah, peer reviewed, Kat. Check that out. So that, and if it's on the internet, you know it's true.
I was more doing that look for the you're not a scientist.
No, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I will take a look at it. But the whole idea of that we're all connected. You know how it goes for one person, it goes for another person. We're actually on a very powerful medium right now. This shit that we're saying is going out into the universe forever, recorded forever, whatever. And we have these capabilities right now that we've never had at any time. So I can literally say right now, and I am saying to everybody else in the world from somewhere right in the middle of America, love you, right? I love you. I care about how it goes for people on the other side of the world that I never meet, right? So do you. We don't want bad things for other people. We're decent people. Neither do they. You know what I'm saying? And so, and it's fascinating because we're actually at a point now where so many things have changed so quickly, but at some point it kind of feels scary in the world right now because, you know, there is so much change going on and so much volatility. But the other thing that's interesting is how much when we go through these trials and tribulations, how much it shows us that we give a shit about each other. Oh, a thing that's going on right now is there were just terrible wildfires in Paradise, California, I think, and all along California. There are, you know, hundreds of people missing, and it's super scary and very sad. And what's interesting is that people seeing that news, that community is in their prayers. People are wishing them well. People are sending them resources, things like that. And we have that happen so often that's what I think is so interesting about the trials and tribulations people do go through, is that that's a huge opportunity for people to show love. That's a huge opportunity for heroes to come into your life, for these networks to be made. Because when I've gone through terrible things, people have been so kind and generous that almost, it didn't take away the pain of it. But boy, having that love sure made it a lot better. You know what I'm saying? And so, but yeah, man. And so the point I'm trying to get at is that with this whole show, I think one of the great reasons to talk about love initially is that then we can get into, well, one of the topics we're going to talk about is, I think the actual official title is G Spike for liking music. You sure don't know shit about music with your old buddy Kat, right? So Kat knows a ton about music. I play music. Kat plays some music, but I write songs and all that shit. But I don't know bands at all.
Yeah, I think realistically it's going to be something like, for loving music so much, you don't know shit about bands. I think that's what it's going to be.
That's a nice concept. So next week we'll have a graphic that comes up. But you know what, Kat? It's funny because we were talking about it as a subject.
Promises already?
Oh, dude, yeah. And next week we'll probably have pyrotechnics. There'll be some type. I know they'll. We've got some big celebrity guests coming into the basement next week. I'm really looking forward to that.
Sure. Be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, watch out for that. And that's the thing, is those are promises you can expect not to be kept. You know, but but on that note, you know, as far as it goes, the only defense I want to make about that topic, Kat, is I know music that I like, right? I think I have decent musical taste. I like a lot of the things that you like, and other people that I know and care about that are very tasteful about it. But you know what it is it's kind of like music's one of those rare things where, especially if you write a lot of songs, who is that?
Girl pool.
That's
It's a female. Well, it used to be two females. They started in LA and then they moved to Pennsylvania for a while. Now there's four people in the band. I
See, I
think
get
it.
so tired of people moving to Pennsylvania just for the music scene. It's
Yeah,
so cliche. I
I know.
mean,
Seriously,
if
come
I've
on.
heard one story of a band moving from LA to Pennsylvania for music, you know what I mean? It's like
How did you grasp onto that whole concept very quickly? Yeah, seriously.
it was as strategic as someone I know moved from. No, I won't say. But
Oh
anyways,
boy,
yeah, that was a whole nother time and place. But
that's a whole nother show,
that
actually.
is the
Um,
reason to get you out
not episode, literally a whole different show.
yeah. Life choices with your buddy Spike. But but in defense of that, I would say
There should be like a seal or something as a mascot in there. Anyway,
yeah.
oh, too deep, too deep. All right.
Indeed. So on the why I don't listen to tons of other bands. One, I will say honestly, there are very few things I can say I'm legitimately a snob about, but I am a little bit of a music snob. Like music I really like, but some music can kind of be like straight up noise to me, and that's tough because a lot of times I already either have a song in my head that I really like from an artist that I really like, or I've got a song in my head that I've written or that I'm working on or whatever. And I think the last thing is that sometimes it's easy to be overly influenced by an artist that you're listening to at that time. And so I feel like my influences are already kind of so jammed into my head that the last thing I need to do is listen to other musicians all the time. But that being said, I do listen to some music. But okay, Kat, so we had an artist queued up for this week. Who's your artist of the week for this week?
Artist of the week. Well, it's not anything new. We're really, jeez, that's tripping me out. It's really,
Blurry for a second there.
we're really not hitting we're really hitting the young demographic with this one. He popped into my mind actually, and I probably should have thrown it out there when we were talking about
Explain to the
love.
young people why it is why they should know about it. This person, then, would you?
Oh, okay. So who I'm bringing up this week is John Prine. Um, wow, reason people should know him. I mean, he's a legendary singer songwriter. Started really coming out into the scene, making music in the early '70s. Um, just a brilliant lyricist. I mean, as much as some of his lyrics are, you could say somewhat tongue in cheek or kind of making a joke, which is something that what I love about him so much is he could create a great protest song that you could walk away from thinking, God, yeah, we need to do something, but you could also be laughing at some point in time throughout the song.
So he
Uh,
has some. So you're saying that the artist of the week is John Prine?
The artist of the week's John Prine. Sorry, yeah, got deep into it there. Yeah, John Prine, and I mean he did everything from like your flag decal won't get you into heaven anymore, which is a
Is
great
that
song
true?
about the Vietnam War. If you haven't heard that one, check that one out. And then he
Okay.
does stuff as serious as like Sam Stone, which is about a guy who comes back from the war with a huge addiction to painkillers and narcotics. And so, I mean, he's like, and not everything that he does. Those were two examples that were both about veterans of war or about war, but he's not that way as well. And that's part of why I wanted to bring him up because a lot of his songs and a lot of what he sings about, I think he would tell you, and I can't speak for him, but a lot of the reason that he makes music, I mean, he definitely has a lot of love in his heart and a lot of love for people, community, and the people that he makes music with, and all of that. Oh, that's why that's happening.
Okay. Well, so here, Kat, I'm going to.
Difficulty. Go to some snow scene. Yeah, there we go.
Whoops, hold
Perfect.
on.
I was having a technical difficulty. I was bumping into the stage set here. So
See, that
you
shit.
should see the elaborate set behind me, dude. You can't. We're not showing it this time, but soon enough. All right. Anyway.
And you know what? Well, and that's what I keep trying to express to people, Kat, is that this is the
So
level of show business that you can expect here. So,
so he made a song I don't know what you got queued up exactly, Spike, but he made a song a while back. Um,
In Spite of Ourselves, I got queued up. That was one.
okay, cool. In Spite of Ourselves is what it's called. It's a duet that he sings. But he also just came out with a new album, and I'll leave it at this. And the new album, I'll hold it up here quick. I think I can do that, right?
For sure.
Is John Prine, The Tree of Forgiveness. And he actually writes about his writing process in this on his website, which you should check out if you get a chance.
Do you know what his website is? JohnPrine.com?
I think it's johnprine.net.
Okay.
And he's got a song on here that he sings with Brandi Carlile called I've Met My Love Today. And it's a good one. And he's got some other ones on here that are about love. I'd actually put it to the test that you can't find something that has to deal with love in every one of his songs on here. And that might have something to do with aging and all of us getting older. And maybe that's part of why I read into it the way that I do too. But anyway.
Well, here, let me play a little shot of it. I'll play a shot of this is John Prine with Iris DeMent, and the song is In Spite of Ourselves. And laws being what they are, we're going to play just a couple seconds of it and tell you guys about it a little bit. And then I want you to talk about some of the lines that you like in it and stuff, because from the writing point of view, Kat, that'd be really rad. So this is from youtube.com, John Prine, In Spite of Ourselves. And we're queued in here about, looks like about 1:12. But we'll listen to a few seconds of it and check it out.
In spite of ourselves, we'll end up sitting on a rainbow. Against all odds, honey, we're the big door prize. We're gonna spike our noses right off of our faces. There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes.
I think we can play this verse, Kat. This one's, I love this verse. And this is Iris DeMent singing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, here we go. Oh, caught the three. See, I think technically if I pause it and then move it forward, Kat, I can't get in trouble. So hold on, let's see.
Corny.
Oh yeah, I love this line. I'm not trying to talk over it, but fair use laws being what they are. Hey, look, if John Prine sues us because we're telling people how awesome we think he is, then that's irony on irony.
I'll give that dude every penny that I have tomorrow if he wants it, dude.
As long as he sings us the song. So here you go. This is a great verse.
She thinks all my jokes are corny. Convict movies and make her horny. She likes ketchup on her scrambled eggs. Swears like a sailor when she shaves her legs. She takes a licking and keeps on ticking. I'm never gonna let her go.
He's got more balls than a big brass monkey. He's whacked out weirdo and a love bug junkie. Sly as a fox, crazy as a loon.
So there it is. That's all we can afford to play since we
can't afford the fox, crazy as a loon. Dude, those verses are, yeah. I mean, that's. I also love the chorus. I mean, when he says, you know, sitting on a rainbow and, you know, we're the big door prize. And I mean, I love that line of we'll spite our noses right off of our faces too.
Won't
like
be
that.
Nothing but big old hearts. I really like that. What's the line that she has to caught him last week he was sniffing my undies, and it's like, well, that's a specific window onto the into the human nature that is the male species that you only find in certain singer-songwriters. I agree. That's a super rad song. You know, I was gonna say one of them that I play quite a bit is how's that go? And Bonnie Raitt does a great version of this. Can you hear the guitar okay, Kat?
Yeah, I can hear it. Great.
I am an old woman named after my mother. That's a great old tune, remember? My old man is another. The child is grown old. If dream were lightning, thunder would desire, this old house would have burned down a long time ago. Make me an angel to fly from Montgomery just give me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go, right? And that line he has about well, the whole thing is just genius to me. So my familiarity with John Prine is honestly fairly limited, because he's one of those songwriters that I've always loved, and I was super pumped to hear you say that you wanted to have him for tonight, because when I think about John Prine, there's a situation where I think specifically about love, because who introduced me to John Prine would be Homie and Boone. So for those who don't know, I've got a couple of rad ass brothers. I'm the Bill Gates of friends and family. I always say that, but I am. I've got some really quality, lovely people in my life. And my older brother, Homie, he's a huge John Prine fan, and so we're sitting around having a few beverages and just kicking it old school. That's somebody you can count on him bringing out quite a bit. So then Luke and Thad bring him out quite a bit, and then Boone's a big old John Prine fan. And I wanted to mention too. So one of the things that we're doing, just in not to hot dog in on your segment here, Kat, but I wanted to mention that too, that we're going to be showing, we're going to have some really cool guests as we go through this stuff. Kat and I know a lot of super rad people, singer-songwriters, other artists that we're going to bring in and invite in and have conversations with, and one of them is going to be my brother Boone Johnson. He's an awesome singer-songwriter. In fact, we're going to be helping him do a show called Boone from the Bushnell Garage. But Boone always talks about John Prine too, and I think one of the great things that I like about it, and I'm curious to hear your take, is I love his that line about a poster from an old rodeo. On one level, it's like, where in the hell would you get that? But it's so descriptive at the same time, you know. So what are some lines you like of him? Why did you want to bring him up, Kat? What really stands out about John Prine besides what you said?
Biggest reason I wanted to bring him up this time was partly because that new album that he came out with just really hit my heart. I just think he's brilliant. I think that he writes, like I said, in Spite of Ourselves song. I mean, the
well, what about the new album stands out so much? What it hit you at a time and place in life, or what? Or do all of those things?
Partly, I'm really getting bothered by it. So so behind me, I got like a pig pen thing going on over my shoulder. Can you see that? You know what I mean when I say that? Anyway, all right. It's my
like
fault.
The dust. Yeah, no, it's the shadow on the green screen.
No, totally. And
it
it's
might
also
be your spirit escaping from your left shoulder too, Kat. It's hard to know. You know, sometimes are you wearing the special spirit holding in garments that
Well, I smashed the angel on my shoulder earlier, and I think that might, or no, wait.
That's the soul.
Yeah, that's right. Angel's always on my left shoulder. I smashed the angel, so I don't know what's going on.
Oh, anyway. You know what, Kat? I've got that filter on right now that can actually tell when the government's beaming shit in and out of your microchip. You know what I mean? And so that might be all it is. A little microchip feedback. Nothing really to worry about too much. There, it's a little less noticeable.
Probably coming up from the back of my shirt where my tail used to be.
Exactly.
That's where they put the microchip.
Well, exactly, and it's the wagging of the tail that amplifies it. It's a whole thing, you know.
It's all making sense.
But it looks good.
But no. With his new album, I think part of it was just kind of where I am in my life, and that kind of some of his songs are just a little bit about like acceptance and kind of just being, you know, of who you are, of what the world is, and a lot's not the right word. A few of his songs are kind of goofballish, like he likes to do, and are just fun. And then, like I said, like there's some key songs on here that are about love, and that was what made me think about it when you brought up the topic. And I've been listening to this album a lot lately, and I really wanted to hit this young demographic that's into like the EDM and stuff. I was like, John Prine. I mean, you know, of course.
When I think of electronic dance music, I think of John Prine. You know what I mean?
But to really try to put all that together, though, I mean, I think,
you know what, though? I think actually, Kat, I know you're bullshitting a little bit there, but honestly, to a point, it was the old timers that have shown me the really good art that's out there.
Okay.
And I think that the funny thing is that there's that Simpsons episode that's all about, singing depressing songs to teenagers is like shooting fish in a barrel or whatever. But to a point, it's kind of like young kids like to hear the stuff that influenced their parents and their grandparents and that type of stuff. And the cool thing about it is we have such a great catalog of music to draw from. I mean, everything from the Beastie Boys to John Prine to Ray Charles to, you know what I mean? And it's all over the place and stuff. And so I think that that's kind of something that our generation should do for the next generation, is make sure to kind of put, I'm concerned that 20 years from now, will people know or 50 years from now, will kids know who like Tom Petty was, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, John Prine, you know what I'm saying? So this is valuable to me.
That was going to be my point as well, is to bring it to the fact of like, just like we were talking about with love earlier and understanding. Part of understanding is creating, if need be, somewhat of a historical context, right? And within that historical context are these musicians like John Prine. I'll tell you what, I guarantee you there are musicians and bands out there today that person wouldn't have picked up a guitar if they wouldn't have heard John Prine, or they wouldn't have even thought of writing a song. You know what I mean? So it's like that idea of like having influences and gaining that understanding of like, oh, I like this music. And then maybe that musician says even, hey, one of my influences was John Prine. Ooh, I should go check out John Prine. So
exactly.
Yeah, I'm making a joke as, trying.
But young kids don't like good shit.
But it also is this idea of like bring it back. What's that?
Kids these days, they're damn EDM, oh boy. But what were you saying now?
I was saying that it's wow, gotta watch that. And I was saying that it is more about like just, I don't know. It all fits in. It all fits into place.
Did you say Oprah Winfrey?
And knowing and understanding where it kind of fits in is part of it for me.
Did you say Oprah Winfrey?
Oprah Winfrey.
I thought you said a couple seconds ago Oprah Winfrey, and I'm like, Oprah Winfrey, what the hell?
Oh.
When you went to lean forward, I'm like, well, we'll have to play the tape back.
Oh no! When I went to lean forward, I said I gotta watch. I think I said something more like I gotta watch doing that.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay,
anyway.
so I've got it queued up here. This is
cool. Yeah,
John
play
Prine.
a little bit of it if you don't mind.
This is John
I
Prine.
really love that shot on the back of his guitar, like his. Let me raise it above
let's see. Yeah. Oh, let me get my noggin out of the way. There we go. Hold up just a second, Kat. I'll get you over there. There you go.
Oh.
There you go. Oh, other way. There you go. Okay. Oh, that beautiful.
It's like Willie's guitar, right? The one with the hole in it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Worn out. Yeah, it's just a cool shot. Anyway.
You know what? And at some point, that's something that I'm looking forward to rapping about too, is artistic influences and stuff like that. I'm sure we'll get to a million topics as we do this, but Willie's one of those guys that when it's always so fun to hear who, like you were saying, the artists that you really like and who influenced them. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I first heard Pearl Jam saying that they were big Neil Young fans. I was like, what in the world, Neil Young? I mean, not that I had anything against it, but I just didn't know much about him. We were products of the '80s, so.
But it sparked your interest.
Oh my God! And that led me down a whole noodle. Or knowing that Bob Dylan was a big Woody Guthrie fan helped me really get into those types of appreciation.
And then the whole Wilco tie-in and the Billy Bragg tie-in, and I mean, I can sit back and tell you. I don't know if I would have heard a Billy Bragg song for at least 7 to 10 more years if I wouldn't have heard the Mermaid Avenue stuff. I think I probably still would have run into him, like his music at some point in time, but I don't think it would have been as at the time in my life that it happened. You know what I mean? For sure.
And that's the interesting thing is that you keep running into those. It sends you down these interesting noodles, and then to know, and it's like, look, I'm a huge Ray Charles fan. I'm a huge Tom Waits fan, that type of music and stuff. But it's interesting because to know, like John Prine's one of those guys where, who comes to mind when I think of John Prine, that he's connected in my brain. Not necessarily that their songs are similar, but he's kind of a songwriter like Townes Van Zandt. You know what I mean? Like people know who Townes Van Zandt is, but they probably heard one of his songs, but they probably don't. But you ask a musician in Nashville, and they're, you know what I mean? Or
I'd say that's very comparable. That's a good.
You know what I'm saying? But
definitely.
But like the songwriters really appreciate that there's a talent to turning a phrase. There's a talent to the timing of some of these things. Like that's one of the things I really like. I don't know a million John Prine songs, but every one that I've ever heard I've really enjoyed. But he's got that one song, "Illegal Smile," where he switches. He's so if you see me tonight with an illegal smile, don't cost me. He switches from 4/4, normal time, to 3/4, like a waltz time. And so for musicians, you hear that. Wilco did that in "Far, Far Away."
Yep.
And it's just something where even if you're not, it's kind of like that point I always make. You might not be a singer, but you can hear when somebody else can't sing. Or you can hear a flat note or whatever. It's the same thing with kind of genius within music. It's interesting how people that really, you might not be a musician necessarily, but you can tell those kind of exceptional things. And it's those types of little switching time signature. Neil Young does it in a couple songs, that type of stuff, It's just more of that microchip feedback, Cat. Don't sweat it. So anyways, without further ado, here it is. John Prine, the Tree of Forgiveness. This is a new album, right, Kat?
His latest album. Yep. Is this "I Have Met My Love Today"? Is it part of that one?
And so I'm playing. Yep, I've met my love today off of the Tree of Forgiveness, and it's this is being played off of Oh Boy Records on YouTube. So I'm gonna play a little clip of it here, Kat, and we'll see what's shaking here. Whoops. There we go. Okay. And here it is, John Prine.
I have met my love today. I have met my love today. Doesn't really matter what we had to say. I have met my love. I've been holding on for you. Dreams I've had have all come true. I had seen your picture and I knew you right away. I have met my love today.
Great
song. Man,
I love how well they work together. When it gets into the actual verses and they do the duet bit too, it's nice. Brandi Carlile, she and I think we were talking about earlier, some other time. I think it was earlier today when we were talking quick that I believe that's who he toured with. If not the last tour, like the tour before, I'm pretty sure that he was touring with Brandi Carlile, and they've done a few songs together, which I know for her is like a dream come true, as I would guess it.
See, I don't know Brandi Carlile. What is she from? A band that I might know, Kat?
Solo. I think she just does solo stuff. I don't think she's in a band.
Oh, so that brings up so Brandi Carlile. Well, and it's interesting because that other one was Iris Dement, and I know he was touring with her for a while. It's interesting. So when I say female singer, who comes to mind?
Anybody. Nico Case comes to my mind for some reason.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. Wow.
Cat Power comes to mind.
Oh, sure. Who's a band that just speaking of, it's kind of jumping tangents, but when you mentioned Cat Power, that Pussy Riot band from Russia might be some of the baddest. The little bit that I've heard of them, everything I hear is just like, now that's art. You know what I mean? Like that. It's so interesting because right now we're going through a time like where it seems like a lot of art is, this will sell your nice car and all that shit, or whatever, or it'll sell that. And there used to be a time and place where artists actually mention shit about things. They still do to a point, but it's like that's kind of a whole nother level. But just so lots of respect to artists out there doing that kind of shit. God bless, for real. But I think when I think of female musicians, there's a few that just jump right to the top of my head. Of course, like Norah Jones is hard to beat as far as just that type of stuff. But I'm kind of old school. I really like Dolly Parton, Emmylou Harris. Some of those. When I start thinking of John Prine, because there's like a soulfulness. Who was that always sang with Neil Young? And she's passed away now, I believe. But Do you know what I'm talking about? She's on Motorcycle Mama and stuff. What is her name? But anyways, I love that.
Well, you know, another female singer-songwriter who I'm not huge into, but I've always really truly respected, and that's who originally did I'm pretty sure did Angel from Montgomery with John Prine, is Bonnie Raitt.
Oh yeah, yeah, she does an awesome version of it. And what's that? Is it Mavis Staples that Wilco or that Jeff Tweedy did all the stuff with? You talk about like there are some like voices that are like not to be like cliche about it, but like voice of God type of stuff where it's like there, you know, she sings on those original versions of The Wait with the band and stuff, and it's like, oh, I mean, I don't know what it is, but it is literally like the sound of beauty. You know what I mean? Like it's amazing how sonically it can be that moving and stuff. And so it's cool because there's some artists out there, and I think sometimes, honestly, from a songwriter's point of view, it's easy to become a little bit jaded about, oh man, another song and all that stuff. But it's like, man, sometimes you'll hear some stuff that just is so moving, and it's like even with Aretha Franklin passing earlier this year, I'd never really looked up the chords to Respect. It's a really straightforward tune, but you talk about a badass like, and so that's the thing that I hope my artist friends keep in mind is the power of art. You know what I mean? The power of influence through those different things, because a great song landing at a particular time, you know, and we'll have to talk about that further down the road.
Well, I think that goes right back to what we were talking about earlier, and I think that that's why music can be such a great medium for bringing out something like love and making you feel a certain way, right? And like you said, I mean, I think that what you just said in and of itself is a topic, if not more than one show, like talking about art, influence of art, and how that's comes across that entire energy, if you will, and
for real.
That brings. But yeah, I mean,
well, you know, and I think that when it comes down to it, Kat, right now, one of the other topics that I want to get into fairly soon is courage, right? So. It's interesting how one of the expressions I have that I say quite a bit is there's never a shortage of assholes to knock the flowers out of your hands, right? So isn't it interesting that the people that have been out there that have been fighting for peace and love, you know, have kind of put their asses on the line, because it's easy to be cynical. It's easy to be, you keep looking, it's not there, God, I swear it's not there. That's tripping you out, bro. That's hilarious.
It's like I have this little like pig pen.
That's funny.
Anyway, all right.
It's just stink lines. It's just stink lines. It's
please, I know, seriously. Thanks a lot, dude.
It's smell-o-vision, bro. No, you've always smelled at least reasonable in terms of I've never been offended in that manner, I guess. But no, they what the hell was I saying though? Courage. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and that's
my shoulder.
That's the other thing is that it really does take courage to put yourself out there. That's what I was saying earlier. Even with if you're somebody that's hurting, it takes courage to put yourself out there, and especially in like the hyper masculine world. You know, it's like to show that you actually give a shit about other people and to sing a song about something that actually matters and stuff like that. But it's interesting because when I think back on some of the great artists that really were influential in my life, a lot of the music that really hit me early on was stuff like, I love Wonderful World, Louis Armstrong. Oh, check it out, I got it around here someplace, I don't know. But anyways, I've got a little music box of Wonderful World that I like to just play once in a while and stuff. And what a beautiful sentiment, you know what I mean? So if you're ever in a bummed out mood, hearing something like that, or like I was saying, Aretha Franklin, Respect, all the war anthems, all that type of stuff. And so when it comes down to it, and I think I asked you this at one point, Kat, but I don't know that I got a clear answer. So when you're listening to music, you're listening to it because you're trying to affirm a mood or change a mood. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
I think it's so different depending, but I think, I mean, there's certain music that's one way or the other. I definitely utilize music to set a mood. Like for instance, if I want to get excited or I want to wake up, or like if it's like a day I'm like want to get up and really get going, I'll play something. Or if I want, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's both. I think maybe
Well, the reason I ask is that it's interesting because as a songwriter, I don't usually want to write a song when I'm pissed off all the time. You know what I mean? Just because I don't want to have to sing a song that I'm pissed off about the rest of my life and so on and so forth. And by the same token, I think of kind of like, I wonder if people consider what they're actually putting out there. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to grow cynical to like a song like Happy by Pharrell, but it's like, dude, that's a fucking great song. And it for what it is, for what it's intended to do, it does it at a very high level. You know what I'm saying? And so with each one of these different type of genres, there's you know, there's a legitimacy and stuff. But like for me, it's very rare anymore. When I was a teenager, I was probably more apt to listen to a song that was filled with angst and stuff or anger. But now I'm at a pretty peaceful place in my life where it's like, not to say I don't have problems, but I'm not going to listen to music to get me all like, fucking, I'm going to go rioting in the street. I'm going to listen to music that makes my heart feel happy or makes me appreciate. Like, when I think of listening to music, I think of Saturday morning, having a nice little taster, a cup of coffee, flipping pancakes for the family, beautiful day, sun shining in. I got Neil Young Harvest playing, or I got, Ray Charles, or something like that. I think of that type of stuff. You know what I mean? And so it actually literally sets a mood. And so when I think of, listening to music that's going to piss you off, I know lots of people like that music, but it's hard for me to understand. So that's why I'm trying to understand, like, so what's an example of why you would want to get pumped up, for instance?
Well, I don't know. Like, if I'm going to go out, like, let's say I'm going to go to a show or something like that, I'm not going to sit and listen to the band's music. So I'm going to go to the show and listen to the band. But I might play something like, hey, so I'm going to go see the OCs play a show at a venue out here, and so beforehand I might throw on like I don't know, like some Fu Manchu or some other like more driven punk, or I might even throw on like some psychedelic rock, like throw on like The Sword, or throw on a little Red Fang, or throw something on that's going to get me like just more of that type of music that's going to get me more, like, just keep me in the mood to go out. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not going to listen to something that's going to be like, oh, wow, well, this is something kind of put me to sleep, like, so I think it's more like it fits the mood that I'm in. But I definitely still am in the world of, I throw music on, like, let's say, and I mean, I don't know if this has anything to do with, I guess it's just part of the way that music is such a part of my life that, like, I definitely still play stuff. Like, if I'm like pissed at, like, say, the results of an election, or I'm mad at like something that's happened in society, I'm definitely going to play more like, not angsty music necessarily, but definitely music that's more driven. Like, I might put like some Dead Kennedys, or throw like something else by Jello Biafra on, or throw on like some old Sex Pistols, or so I guess all that's old.
But something that has like more like
I mean, like even some Rancid, like throw on some punk rock, throw on something that's like, I don't know. And maybe that's just because it's more fitting to how I feel. So I guess that goes back around to, I definitely do both. Like, I don't think I'm one way or the other with it.
Well, see, for the last presidential election, when I think of sounds, all I keep hearing is wah wah.
Yeah. I do that all the time with no, it's that. It's like wah wah. But then the next day it was
you know what?
That hasn't stopped yet. Like, that's still like just like in
Oh man, that's such an interesting, like I think everybody has kind of like moments in their life that they'll never forget where they were at certain points. And I think the election, that particular election, like a lot of elections, I can tell you, oh yeah, that's right, that dude won or that dude didn't, or that lady won or that person didn't or whatever. But that night I actually will always remember where I was, because it was so unexpected, and also Fuck, it was so unexpected, Kat. Do you remember?
I feel like I don't want to get any deeper into this, but I can guarantee you that the following day, the song Raining Blood by Slayer was played by me and went into my ear holes at some point in time.
Well, and that's... Slayer. Well, and that's the funny thing is that he kept playing at all of his things. The Stones Can't Always Get What You Want, and two things. One, I fucking love that song. Why you taking that one? It makes me reminds me of like when U2 was Charles Manson stole this song from the Beatles. Now we're stealing it back or whatever for Helter Skelter or whatever, you know. But it's like, oh man, I actually really like Can't Always Get What You Want. But then I also thought like, what the fuck is he trying to say here? Like, like, is it what we want or what we need or not what we want? Because it's kind of neither. It'd just be more like, go away.
It actually goes, we don't need to leave it on this note, but we could, but it actually goes with everything else that he's done since then, because it's so out of context, just like this entire fucking bad joke that we're all part of right now, man.
You know what, though, Kat, on that note, though, because we are wrapping it up, the one thing I do want to say is that this is a time and place, right? It's a time and place. Fuck, a couple years from now, it's all going to be different. But you and I are doing something where, what are you smelling?
Some weird noise outside. Anyway.
Oh, so, yeah, well, you start talking government. The next thing you know, the internet comes down. The whole series of tubes floods. Right. But anyways.
You're knocking on my door next.
You cannot say things on the internet. So basically, I think that's the gist, kind of in closing, is that what we're going to try and do is talk about shit we think we know, try and crack a joke once in a while. I really enjoyed this first show, Kat. I think keep them coming back. So what I would encourage people to do is check out spikeandcat.com. What's our Twitter handle, Kat? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's at Spike and Cat Show.
At Spike and Cat Show. I'll try and put some of that stuff in the description. This is our first stream, and so the idea, Kat, is we're going to do a show or two a week, kind of moving forward, and just trying to have fun doing it. If people have things they want to talk about, write into the mailbag, send us a note, whatever. And also in terms of like what or how we're trying to do this, I guess the nuts and bolts is in that type of the world that you're talking about, Kat, of trials and tribulations, we're just trying to crack some jokes and have a good time, talk about whatever. So if people have a topic or something they want to respond to it. We'd love to hear from you. Like the show, subscribe. Please subscribe, because we're going to start kicking these out on a regular basis. And another couple of things I wanted to mention is one of the ways we're going to be kind of doing this is we have different products that we're going to be promoting through the show. One of them is actually, we have a CBD product that Kat and I are associated with, for real. If you're not familiar with CBD, I think the next show we do, Kat, maybe we could talk a little bit about cannabis.
Yeah, definitely. Let's clear that stuff up. That's a big, I want that well, not I know that we want that to be a big part of our show too, is, with the way that things are moving in the world of cannabis, just to be intelligent about it and speak on it and just be real about it. And that's all I'll say about that for now, because obviously we got things to say in the future. So
well, yeah. So if people want to support the show, there's a lot of ways people will be able to support the show. One of the biggest things is just like and subscribe. Try and help us get the word out. We're going to be cracking jokes. Give us some ideas of things you want to talk about. We're going to have guests. We're going to have all sorts of things. And or you can go to our website and check out some of our products there. We're specifically going to have the Hope Company CBD. If you don't know about CBD, we're going to talk a little bit about it in some subsequent shows and talk about cannabis in general. And we also have cranial colon dislodge. It's probably right for you. That'll be a product.
That'll be good to get out there for the Christmas season, for the holiday season in general. Yeah. You never know who. You probably do know who could use some cranial colon dislodge.
Cranial colon dislodge. That's exactly right. So maybe the next show we'll show some of those products, Kat, and talk a little bit about it. Just wanted to say thanks again for doing this, Kat. Really looking forward to it. Peace and love to you, brother. So this has been our show about love, Kat. Please.
I got to throw one more thing in there. Yeah. We were talking about female musicians, and if I don't at least say the Deal sisters, Kim and Kelly both, I would be remiss.
Okay, wait, what was their first band? The Breeders?
Breeders,
The
yep.
Breeders, okay.
Well, Kim Deal was in the Pixies, but then the Deal sisters created the Breeders.
Well, don't leave me hanging then. So what do you like so much about them? Just quickly, and also, are they still playing music together?
Yeah. They just came out with a new album actually. They just been touring again. I love both of them for many reasons. Mainly just because I always thought the Breeders were such a cool band, and they always sang about really, just made kick-ass music together.
Are they also driving on 9?
Yeah, that's them. Yep,
Oh,
Driving on 9 and Cannonball.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, I just had to say the Deal sisters. If I say female musicians and don't throw them in there,
Oh, dude. You know what? And sometime we're gonna have a bunch of top 10 lists, but it's funny because every one of our top 10 lists will have 100 fucking positions on it because it's so hard to mention something and not.
I was thinking about that the other day when we talk about like they doing like a top 3 influencer, top 3 this. I'm like, I almost think you have to put that into like timing, like because for me it's getting, and I mean as I get older, I think it gets even tougher, right? Anyway, not to go off on that tangent.
Well, no, I heard the Violent Femmes the other day, for instance, and it's just like
live a few months ago, dude, so good.
See, and it's funny because there are some bands where I know the vast majority of their catalog, and then there are some bands where I like locked in on an album or two. And the Violent Femmes were something where I don't know. I'm sure they've made other albums and stuff, but those songs are so pivotal, and so it's going to be fun to also talk about how music and how different pieces of art have affected us. We're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. So I guess, was there anything else you want to say before we wrap it up, Kat?
Just like, and I think, and not trying to take any words out of your mouth, but just I think in general, just to bring it back one more time to the whole loop around to our topic, and then how it kind of got into the realm of the rights and ways of rules of the world of where we are right now. I just think it's truly important that, like we talked about earlier, love and understanding, and even in a place that we are in now, and when you walk out your door, even when you're behind your, closed doors, just something to think about, and as we go through our days. But anyway,
what? Then on that note, I kind of want to say too. Then I want to say.
Dude. Put it back on that one.
Oh,
dude.
okay. Oops, sir. I didn't even go to that one, did I? Well, okay. Then you know what I want to say on the whole topic of love? I would like to say that the whole reason that I do the things that I do, every single part of it is filled with love. I jokingly say you can hear my heart pound 3 blocks away. I genuinely love you, Kat. I'm very grateful for you as a person. To anyone out there that I've been so grateful to know for a moment or for a lifetime, thank you for the love that you've shared with and for me, and really looking forward to sharing more of this whole crazy experience. And for real, Kat, I just want you to know, dude, this is a real honor. You know what? And it's just fun to be able to put this stuff out. It's a real blessing in this time and place to be able to put out a little peace and love. So besides the disruption of the microchips, that's like stink lines and.
I'll shower before the next one.
You can. We need that, and I'll take the stink line filter off too. But anyways, well, then in the meantime, this has been the inaugural episode of the Spike and Kat Show, and please tune in, like us, subscribe, and all that stuff. And so until next time, here, Kat, I'm gonna send it out with with our theme song one more time.
Peace and love, party people. Send it out later, Spike.
All right, later, Kat. Love you, bro. Peace
love you, bro.
Here we go. Hold on. And action. Whoops. Here we go. Hold on. And there it goes. See you later, bro. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've been friends most of our lives. I had a couple of kids.
I've had a couple of wives. We'll talk about the shit we think we know. It's smile. It's a Spike and Kat Show.
Technology.